I believe my wife is becoming a gamer. We talked about it on last week's show. Split Fiction just launched. It's a fantastic game. It received incredible reviews. And we ended the show by being like, well, maybe I might be able to get my wife into this. Maybe my wife, who's not a gamer, I can convince her to play. Turns out, she was all in. I was like, hey, you want to play this game with me? It's a multiplayer. It's designed for husbands and wives. It's kind of like couple therapy. Let's jump in there. Yeah, we're in. And, I think we're only like 3 or 4 chapters in, and we'd be further. But, she's not a gamer, so we're learning through that. And that's kind of the fun thing to see is like my wife grew up playing like Super Mario 64. She also played a couple other games, like The Sims. But like this, I think, is her first experience with like dual joysticks. And so like me as a gamer who has been playing video games my entire life, I'm like, oh, I know. Left is to move, right is to view. And we'll be doing things. I'm like, hey, don't forget, you got to adjust your perspective. But she's getting it. She's enjoying it. She definitely is having a fun time. And it's getting to the point where I am now relating to every other gamer husband who has introduced their wives to some form of video game like this. Like I sent a reel over to my wife, and we'll pull it up real quick. It simulates and captures the gaming experience with a non-gamer. And it's like behind every wife trying to jump, there is a husband who is waiting. And for those of you that are like, you're only on the 3rd chapter, it's like, hey, there was a lot of waiting. There's a lot of waiting that was going on the scenes. At times I was humming Brad Paisley's Waiting on a Woman because that's what I felt like. I was like, I'm just sitting here waiting on a woman. That's what we're doing. Now, not to say that's all gamers who are women. Obviously, we wouldn't want to insult female gamers out there. I'm just saying in this experience, waiting on my wife. That's all this game was. Just kind of jumping, having fun, enjoying the story, building our partnership, building our bonding over this video game. It's a great time. Highly recommend it. And I even looked at my wife halfway through and I was like, this had to be such a fun video game to work on. Like I would love to talk to Haze Light Studios and kind of talk to some of the developers that were working on it, because for me, one of the things that scares me about like a big video game and developing it is like, do you get tired? Do you get tired of working on the same story over and over and over again? Whereas with Split Fiction, because there's so many different chapters and mini levels and you're jumping between fantasy or you're jumping between sci-fi, I feel like there's so much change and there's so much uniqueness that like, how do you get bored making this game? Like at one point we were playing as pigs, right? And my wife was a pig who had like a spring and she could like elevate, but I was a pig that could fly, but you could only fly through farting. I mean, where else are you going to get that in the world of gaming? I mean, that's quality entertainment. But we're building these bonds to these pigs and we're seeing these child pigs on the map, and we're having fun, and we're like, man, this is great. We're playing as pigs. Turns out we fall down this thing, go into a grinder, turn into a hot dog. Spoiler alert, not a bright future for pigs. I don't think a lot of people think about that, but pigs, hot dogs, and then in this game, and this is where I was impressed. Whereas hot dogs, we're jumping around. I'm trying to figure out what to do. My wife turns on the griddle, immediately knew it's time to cook. It's time to throw them on the time to throw the hot dogs on the stove. Let's get some ketchup. Let's get some mustard. Let's get some relish on them. She knew that was where he was going, and that's where I was like, she's becoming a gamer, my friends. My wife is becoming a gamer, and I have to thank Joseph Ferris, and I have to thank the people over at Haze Light Studios. Split Fiction, it's a gateway drug to getting your wife to being a gamer.